Hi, you're on the Reddit Confessions channel. She dropped the knife into the sink so hard it startled the cat. That's how my birthday began. Sharp, loud, and messy. There were eggs burning on the pan, toast half done in the toaster, and she was already in one of those moods where every breath I took felt like a personal insult to her. I hadn't even said anything yet. It wasn't supposed to go like this. She had promised me she'd take the day off. Promised me we'd spend it together. We hadn't had a real day together in months. I'd booked dinner, made a playlist, even arranged for her favorite wine to be delivered. But now she was pacing the kitchen barefoot, muttering curses under her breath like I wasn't standing right there. I gently asked, "Everything okay?" That's when she turned around, eyes wide like I'd just accused her of a crime, and snapped, "Why do you always do this? You're so freaking clingy." I didn't say a word. Not one. I just stood there like a statue in pajama pants, holding a stupid handwritten card I made her, because she always said she liked personal things more than gifts. She saw my face. That's when she stopped. There was a silence. Long, heavy, like a vacuum sucking the room dry. Then her voice cracked just a little, and she whispered, "I didn't mean it like that. I love you." It felt rehearsed, like she knew she went too far, but didn't regret going there, only regretted being seen. But something else caught my eye. Her phone, face down, vibrating. Again, and again, and again. Later that day, I would look. I'd find out who MP was. I'd read every message. I'd learn the truth behind the burned eggs, the canceled plans, the misplaced rage. But in that moment, frozen in my kitchen, the smell of smoke in the air, I just swallowed the pain. Like always, I spent the rest of my birthday pretending not to exist. After the blow-up in the kitchen, Clara suddenly acted like nothing had happened. She got dressed, did her makeup like she was headed somewhere important, and said she'd be back in a few hours. No mention of my birthday. No explanation. Just her perfume lingering in the hallway as the door clicked shut behind her. I sat at the kitchen table, still in my pajama pants, next to the cold eggs she never touched. The card I made was in the trash. She didn't even bother to hide it. I kept staring at her phone, the one she left on the counter by mistake. For the past 3 months, she'd been extra protective of it, taking it with her to the bathroom, turning it face down, even sleeping with it under her pillow. But today, on my birthday, she forgot it. Or maybe she didn't. Maybe she wanted me to see it. I didn't touch it at first. I paced the kitchen. I talked myself out of it. Told myself I was being paranoid. Then the screen lit up again. MP. Followed by a heart emoji. No preview. Just that. Then another. "Let me know when you're alone." My stomach sank. I finally picked it up, hands shaking, thumb hovering over the passcode. I knew it was her mom's birthday. I tried it. Nothing. Then her dog's name. Nothing. But the third try, my birthday. It unlocked. There were no messages from MP in the inbox. Nothing. But then I remembered Clara had recently started using Telegram. I opened it. That's when I found it. A thread titled "Meet Me Later Kiss Mark." Inside were dozens of messages. Some recent. Some sent just minutes ago. He had written, "Did you tell him yet?" And she responded with, "He's clueless. Still thinks I'm planning dinner for his birthday." Pathetic. My hands went cold. Everything around me blurred. I couldn't even breathe properly. All I could hear was my own heartbeat thudding in my ears. I wasn't angry, not yet. I was just numb. She came back around 4 p.m., holding a shopping bag with some cheap excuse of a gift. She kissed my cheek and said, "I got you something small. Hope you're not mad." I looked her dead in the eyes. "Who's MP?" I asked. She froze. Her face turned white like she'd seen a ghost. Her lips parted slightly, but no words came out. Just a quiet, panicked stare. "Clara," I said again, this time slower. "Who is MP?" And just like that, the lies began. She blinked twice, then smiled. That same insincere, twisted smile she gave to our neighbors when she wanted to pretend we were the perfect couple. "What are you talking about?" she said casually, setting the bag down like we weren't about to detonate. I didn't move. I didn't even blink. I repeated it, slower this time. "Who is MP?" The silence that followed was loud. She walked past me, tossed her keys on the counter, and said, "Don't go through my phone, Merritt. That's disgusting." As if I had crossed a line. I stood there, still gripping the edge of the counter because my legs felt like they might give out. "Disgusting," I whispered. "You call me pathetic to another man on my birthday. And I'm the one who's disgusting? Her face changed again. Less fake now. More irritated. You don't know the context. It's not what you think. The classic line. Every guilty person's favorite excuse. I laughed, but it wasn't really a laugh. It was that broken sound you make when something inside you rips in half. She walked into the bedroom, still trying to escape the question. I followed. Context. I asked. The context is you told someone you're meeting them later. The context is you mocked me. The context is you spent this entire day acting like I was a burden. I expected her to deny it all, to cry, maybe even scream, but she surprised me. She sat down on the edge of the bed and said, flatly, I don't love you the way I used to. I felt the floor vanish under me. Then why are you here? I asked. Her voice was cold. Because I don't want to start over yet. Because it's convenient. Because you're safe. She didn't say it like a confession. She said it like it was a list of facts she'd rehearsed in her mind for weeks. Maybe months. My knees buckled and I sat down slowly, like gravity had become too heavy. I don't know how long I sat there. Minutes? Hours? I just remember the ringing in my ears, like the air had been sucked out of the room. When I finally looked at her, she was scrolling her phone again, as if nothing happened. As if she hadn't just gutted me with words sharper than any knife. I stood up and walked to the door. I needed air. I needed clarity. I needed something. Anything. That didn't smell like betrayal. Her voice followed me out. Not angry. Not sorry. Just robotic. I didn't mean to say it like that. I still love you. I do. But by then, I already knew. She didn't love me. She loved the comfort of being unchallenged. I didn't leave the house that night, but I didn't sleep in our bed either. I sat in the car, parked 2 blocks down, engine off, staring through the windshield at nothing. My hands were on the steering wheel for so long they started to go numb. I wasn't angry. I didn't cry. I didn't even think. I just sat there, trying to process the reality of what my marriage had become. Not explosive. Not dramatic. Just hollow. At around 1:30 a.m. My phone buzzed. It was a message from Clara. Come back inside. It's freezing. She didn't ask if I was okay. Didn't apologize. Didn't even try to lie. Just told me to come home like I was a dog that wandered too far. I didn't reply. I watched the screen go dark, and for a moment, I wondered how long she would actually notice if I just never walked back in. When I finally returned, the lights were off and she was asleep, snoring softly like it had been just another day. I slept on the couch. The ache in my chest didn't ease even when the sun came up. The next morning, I called out of work. I couldn't face anyone. Couldn't answer questions. Couldn't pretend like everything was okay. Clara left for her job like nothing happened, wearing the same green coat she always wore on Fridays, the one she claimed made her look sharp for meetings. I waited 10 minutes after she left. Then I did something I never imagined I'd do. I followed her. I felt like an idiot doing it. A teenager in a bad detective movie. But I had to know if this MP was real, if it was in my head or walking around with 2 legs and a smug smile. I kept my distance, trailing her car through 2 intersections and onto a side street I'd never seen her take before. She pulled into a small parking lot behind a strip of old buildings, nowhere near her office. She parked, got out, looked around, then smiled. He stepped out from a car on the far side. Tall, confident, smiling like he knew her well. Too well. They hugged. Not a friendly one. Not a quick pat on the back. It was long, intimate, familiar. Then he touched her cheek. I felt my stomach twist. Not with rage, but with confirmation. She had stopped pretending the moment she thought I wasn't looking. I didn't confront her that day. I don't even know why. Maybe I was afraid of what she'd say. Afraid she'd confirm that everything I thought we were had already ended. Maybe part of me still wanted to believe it was salvageable, that the woman I married was still in there somewhere, buried under the sarcasm and contempt. So I just drove away. I left before she and her mystery man disappeared into that nondescript gray building, and I spent the rest of the afternoon parked behind a grocery store, staring at my hands like they might offer some kind of answer. When she came home that night, I watched her closely. Every step, every blink, every calculated pause in her speech. She didn't mention work, didn't complain about coworkers, just said, "Long day," and asked if there was anything for dinner. I told her no, and she made herself something without another word. I listened to the sound of a fork scraping against a bowl in the kitchen while she scrolled her phone and giggled softly to herself. I knew she wasn't texting me. Later, I watched her fall asleep like nothing had changed. She snored lightly, same rhythm, same position, arm tucked under her pillow. I lay next to her in complete darkness, heart racing, trying to remember when the last time was that she looked at me like I mattered. I couldn't remember. The next morning, I did something I'm not proud of. I took her phone again. Not to spy. At least, that's what I told myself. But to see if there was any part of her life that still included me. There wasn't. Just more messages from M.P. Their conversations were scattered with phrases like, "when it's finally over," and "he's still clueless." Then, in one message from 2 days ago, she wrote, "After his birthday, I'll start putting things in place. He won't see it coming." That one broke me. She wasn't just cheating, she was planning something. Something final. A departure. Maybe even a replacement. I suddenly felt like a placeholder in my own life. A temporary roommate who paid the bills and stayed out of the way. The worst part? She hadn't even tried to hide it properly. Like she didn't fear being caught. Like I didn't even matter enough to lie to anymore. I sat on the edge of the tub in the bathroom, her phone in my lap, the message still glowing on the screen. I didn't cry. I couldn't. My body was in too much shock to process emotion. All I knew was that I had two choices. Pretend I didn't see it, or finally face the woman I no longer recognized. And this time, I wouldn't be asking questions. I'd be giving ultimatums. That morning, I didn't make coffee like I usually do. I didn't leave a muffin by her side of the bed. I just sat in the kitchen, phone in hand, rereading the message that shattered whatever pieces of hope I had left. After his birthday, I'll start putting things in place. He won't see it coming. She was right about one thing. I hadn't seen it coming. Not because I trusted her blindly, but because I never thought I mattered so little that she wouldn't even bother hiding her exit strategy. Clara walked in a few minutes later, still in her robe, yawning like it was any other Saturday. She noticed the silence, squinted at me, and asked, "You okay?" I didn't answer. I simply pushed her phone across the table. Unlocked. The message open. No room for denial this time. She didn't react like I expected. No guilt, no tears. Just frustration. Like I'd ruined her schedule. She sat down across from me and said, "So you went through my stuff again. Are we doing this now?" I laughed. It came out dry and empty. "You're cheating on me. You're plotting to leave me like I'm a piece of furniture. And your biggest concern is timing?" She leaned back, arms crossed, eyes cold. "You were never supposed to find out like this. But maybe it's better." "Better?" I asked, stunned. She sighed. "Merritt, I can't fake this anymore. I've been dying inside. Every day with you feels like slow suffocation. I need more than what you are." I felt those words like punches. Not yelling, not cursing, just honest cruelty, wrapped in calm tones. She stood up and walked toward the hallway. "I'm staying at my sister's for a few days. I think it's best if you reflect." Reflect? She was the one having an affair. She was the one making secret plans. And somehow I was the problem to reflect on? I didn't follow her. I didn't scream. I just sat there as the front door opened and shut, and the silence that followed was louder than anything she had ever said. The next hours passed in a blur. I walked through the house like a stranger. Our wedding photo on the bookshelf stared at me like a ghost. I looked older in real life now. Worn. Duped. Pathetic. By evening, I made a decision. I wasn't going to fight for her anymore. Not for the version she had become. But I wasn't letting her write the ending either. If she wanted to walk out of my life and pretend it was clean, easy, bloodless, she was about to find out I wasn't as clueless as she believed. I didn't sleep that night. I just stared at the ceiling in our now half-empty bedroom, her side of the closet gaping like an open wound. She'd taken clothes for a few days, but I knew she wasn't coming back the same way. The silence felt different now, heavier. The kind of quiet that fills a room after someone said something unforgivable and walked away before hearing your response. The next morning, I did something I never imagined I'd do. I went to see her sister. Clara didn't know I still had access to the family location sharing app she forgot to disable. I wasn't going there to plead or beg. I just wanted to see if she really went to her sister's, or if that was another lie tucked inside her pattern of half-truths. My gut told me everything I needed to know, but my heart still hoped I was wrong. I parked a few houses down and waited. And sure enough, 20 minutes later, a car I didn't recognize pulled up. Clara stepped out, laughing. Not nervously, not guiltily, comfortably. She was wearing the scarf I bought her last Christmas, The one she said was too precious to wear often. She walked to the driver's side, leaned in, and kissed him. Long, slow. The kind of kiss that doesn't belong to someone just exploring space. I don't know how long I sat there. I don't even remember driving home. All I know is I walked straight into the house and opened the storage box under our bed. I pulled out every photo, every birthday card I ever wrote her, every little memory I used to believe made us special. I put them all into a large envelope. And on top, I placed the printed messages from her Telegram chat with MP, along with one sticky note that read, "You said I was too safe." Consider this my first unpredictable move. I didn't stop there. I canceled the joint credit cards, froze the shared bank account, transferred my salary to a new account in my name only. She'd been preparing to leave me. She just didn't expect me to beat her to the punch. I left the envelope with the building concierge addressed to her. No return label. No drama. Just the truth. It was waiting for her when she got back from her little getaway with her lover. That night, she called me 4 times. I didn't answer. Her 5th call came at 2:13 a.m., voicemail only. Her voice cracked on the recording. "Merritt, please, we need to talk. I don't know what you saw, but I need to explain. I still love you. You have to believe me." But the thing is, I did believe her. I believed she loved me the same way she loved comfort, until it became inconvenient. The next morning, I watched the sun rise through the kitchen window like it was the first time I'd noticed it in years. The house was still, quiet, but for once, that quiet wasn't crushing, it was calm. Clara hadn't come home. She hadn't texted again. Her 6th voicemail was the same as the 5th, full of regret, uncertainty, and that familiar pleading tone she used whenever her control started to slip. I didn't reply. Instead, I got dressed, shaved the half-beard I'd let grow out during the worst of it, and stepped outside with no destination. Just walking, breathing. I ended up at a coffee shop we used to visit years ago, before things got cold, before her love became conditional. I ordered black coffee, sat by the window, and for the first time in what felt like forever, I didn't check my phone. I didn't care what she was doing. And that terrified me, but it also set me free. Later that week, Clara came back. She stood at the door holding the envelope I'd left her like it had physically hurt her. Her eyes were puffy, makeup smeared. "Can we talk?" she asked. I stepped aside, not to welcome her in, but to make her hear what I had to say face to face. I told her I read every word she wrote to him. I told her I knew about the lies, the plans, the fake arguments designed to justify her exits. And then I told her, without yelling, without tears, "You didn't just fall out of love with me. You stopped respecting me. That's what killed us." She broke down. She begged. Promised therapy. Promised to delete him. Promised to try. But I'd heard all her promises before, and I was done being the only one keeping them. So I asked her to leave. This time for good. Weeks passed. Then months. And I changed more than I thought I could. I picked up hobbies. Took weekend trips alone. Started journaling, which I used to mock, but now rely on. Eventually, I even joined a small book club and met people who didn't make me feel invisible. I was rebuilding, not bitterly, but deliberately. Clara's last message was short. "I miss what we had." But the truth is, I don't. Because what we had was broken long before my birthday. I just finally had the courage to stop taping it together. Thanks for watching Reddit Confessions. If you've ever reached a turning point that changed your life, silently, suddenly, and forever, drop your story in the comments. What moment made you finally walk away? And how did it reshape you? And if you stayed to the end, you already know. Sometimes the best gift you can give yourself is the goodbye they never saw coming.